Do you have the trouble when hitting pitch shots or chip shots that they hit the green, no spin on them, and they roll off, or you got to hit the very beginning of the green just in hopes to stop them by the end of the green? Well, then you're about 90% of the golfers out there, maybe even a little higher. Stick around. Let me show you a way for you to start spinning it like the pros that you watch on Sunday. Let's get to the main issue of why your balls are running. Not good contact, okay? We're going to talk about a few issues within this video here that's going to cover you getting chip shots that are going to start spinning, okay? Let's get a few of the basics out of the way first. We got to have a decent wedge, okay? We have to have good grooves. We have to have clean grooves, okay? And I prefer a good golf ball like the Pro V1X is what I use. Now, that's a pretty spinny ball for spinny of what we have today, not like the old Balata spinny. Pro V1 spins a little bit less, but an upper tier golf ball is going to be a good golf ball for getting spin. Now, picking a distance golf ball that's just distance only, that's rock hard, is not going to be good around the greens for spin, okay? The big difference when you get into golf balls is usually within about 100 yards in. Most of the golf balls out there now fly about the same distance. Titleist, for instance, all their golf balls fly the same distance from their lowest model to the top model. It's 6 yard difference, I believe, but it's how they perform within 100 yards in. Okay, so I'm obviously a Titleist guy, so we have Vokeys, Titleist Pro V1Xs. So let's get those two out of the way. Let's assume we have those. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is how do we produce spin. The great thing it's an equation. Okay, if we can get the proper amount of dynamic loft on this club with the right amount of tack angle and a clean strike, then we are going to get the right amount of spin we want, okay? You don't have to have a launch monitor to do this either. I'm going to talk to you in different terms about it. So what do I typically see when I see golfers chipping is they will come in inevitably behind the golf ball, okay? So there's grass getting in between the club and the ball. So I'm going to be looking here at the launch monitor or at the results here of the launch monitor to just let you know, like that chip shot I hit there, which went 18 yards, got 2,000 spin, okay? Now my tack angle is negative 0.2. So basically 0. I tried to do this, okay, for you. So, and the low point was 0.1 in front. Now, if we go to the spin loft, it was only 43.7. That is my equation. Now, spin loft is, we can just look at it as spin, okay? If I want to get this 60 about where I want it, I want to get that spin loft up to, I don't know, somewhere around 52-ish. So that means I have to get the right attack angle. And then if I add on dynamic loft to that, I want that number to be near 52, okay? So what do I need to happen first? Well, I know I can't have 2,000 spin. I know I can't have a tack angle of 0. I like to see myself to have at least 5 to 7 down at least. So we're going to change that up now. And the other thing that I want you to focus on is making sure we're landing. Your thought is going to be that you're landing up here. So it's getting the low point forward. So you're not having your low point back here, catching all kinds of grass in between the ball and the club head. I'm not saying you cannot hit decent shots from there, but we're going for shots that are going to start spinning. And why do we want to spin? Because spin gives you control, okay? I want to spin the right amount of spin on every shot so I know how this is always going to react when it hits the green. I don't want one shot that runs and one shot that spins, and I don't know which one's coming out, okay? I want full control of that, okay? So I'm not even talking technique yet. I'm just going to show you something a little different here. So launch angle on that was 28. Now I want to see a launch angle of anywhere probably from 28 to 32, which is much lower than most people think. But if you go watch Tour Ben, you'll see how low they come out. So now if I look at now I had a negative 7.4 attack angle down, launch angle was 28.7. But here's the big number. That was a 25-yard carry. You can call it pitch if you want, whatever, 6,300 spin, okay? And I can get more than that, but my spin loft was 53.8. So 7.4 angle of attack down, and then you add in my dynamic loft, which was 46. That means I started with 60 degrees here, and by the time I hit the ball, I'd taken 14 degrees off through shaftling, okay? So we can have shaftling coming through, okay? Doesn't mean we can't have it. A lot of people think we have to get this thing like this here and get rid of it all. No, we don't. I'm taking 14 degrees of loft off this thing, okay? So how do I want you guys to start thinking about this? I want you to start thinking about this more as if you don't have a launch monitor in front of you, how do I, and this is another way to think about attack angle if you want, is, and this isn't perfect, but this will work, okay? If I am chipping this ball or pitching and I'm landing more up here as my lowest point versus back here, then that the only way for that to really happen is for me to have a proper attack angle down. So you're going to start thinking about hitting the ball first, ground second, okay, is going to be the thought, okay? Now, I have a bunch of videos on technique for this, and I'm not going to talk a ton of technique this video because this is more about how we just kind of make that happen. Attack angle down of 8.8 degrees down there. My dynamic loft was 45. Spin loft was 54. 6,800 is my RPMs, my spin. Okay. So that's my spin rate. 60, yeah, 66.95. Okay. So you see the big difference between that. I'm going to throw another one in here where I get very little, and this may even be, we'll go for one where I get zero. I try to do no attack angle there. Yeah. So negative -0.4. Once again, 3,600 spin, because my equation, when you take attack angle, add in on the dynamic loft, which was 43, my spin loft only ends up at 45. Okay, not enough. Okay, that equation needs to be correct. I need to get those two numbers right for this to be the right amount of spin that I want. So I want you just to think about this more as getting your low point more in front. And for most of you, you can start to feel like if you want it more in front, where I see the biggest problem is with most amateur golfers, they get here, they stay right here, and they almost go like this backwards. The average person on tour goes forward 2 to 3 inches. Okay. Now, if you watch me, I can't chip it this way, but I'll just show you. I move quite a bit forward, probably 4 inches forward on the way down. What does that do? It helps me get my club up to here. It also gives me a good shaft lean that I want. So what I always suggest is this, you should for sure take practice things when you're chipping or pitching, and just make sure when you're doing them that you're landing where you want to, which is in front. So I would always take little practice chip shots. Like I'd go here and go, okay, I'm landing where I want in front of it. I know that's the speed that I want. And I hit that one a little bit low. Okay. So when I do that, I know it's a good chance I didn't rotate nicely like that. And you see the difference. Okay. So nice launch angle there. Again, that's 2,800 or 28 degrees right on it. So in essence, in order to get the right amount of spin, we want to make sure we're getting a good attack angle down, but we got to make good contact with the ball. That's got to be number one. Okay. Once you start doing that, you're going to notice chipping becomes a lot of fun. You can start imagining all these different shots. I always tell my students to do this is start off with, I like this close stance, but we want to make sure, our shoulders are nice and level. We can have our eyes even looking up way in front of the ball if that's where we're going. We want to get pretty close to the ball so we get this club nice, and closer we get to the club and get almost the heel off the ground, it's easy to get the club up kind of like this instead of having it wrap around us. Okay. Remember, my number one deadly sin on chipping is getting this club behind you like this club head behind you, because then we're going to come in. Natural forces are going to make it really hard for me to get in front of the golf ball like it would there. Okay. We just want to feel like we're almost like this T-Rex with our forearms or our elbows kind of connected, triceps connected to our rib cage, and we're just kind of rotating. Just feeling like we're like a T-Rex kind of stuck in here like this. You'll feel very rotational, which is what we want to feel. Okay. Work on that. You'll start to love chipping and pitching. When I figured this out years ago, I used to not like chipping and pitching at all. I had no fun doing it, probably because I wasn't good at it and I didn't know how the ball would react. But once I figured this out and learned that it's just an equation and I could spin this thing how I wanted every single time. And if I want to hit that 40-yarder, that we all love on TV, I can do it here. I just know it's an equation, and all of you guys can do it too. They aren't that special in hitting the shot. What they do special, the pros are, they make sure they have great contact with the ball and they get these two dynamics right of attacking them down with the proper dynamic loft, a good ball, and decent club, and then you're spinning them. Okay. When golfers come to see me to work on this, they're always shocked that they can do this within one lesson, and even within a few chips, they're spinning it. So you can do it too. Hey, let me know how things are going. Leave a comment down below, but mostly also check out the scienceofbettergolf.com. You can go there by type that all out, or go to tsbgolf.com. It's my community that just started this week. Check it out. Let me know what you think. There's a free trial in there. Eric Schulberg, EJS Golf.